Welcome to the Leveled Women podcast, a space where women heal, grow, and lead from a place of wholeness. I'm your host, Brittany, and today we're diving into something we don't talk about enough, and that's the power of pause. So today we're going to go over why rest is actually a leadership skill. And in a culture that glorifies busyness, I recorded a podcast last week and I talked a lot about hustle culture versus working toward your purpose. And during that podcast, I highlighted how important it is to not overwork yourself and not always be on go, go, go. Because by doing that, sometimes we rob ourselves of learning lessons that are needed to learn to become as successful as we can be in our businesses, in life in general, at our job, with our family. And so we want to make sure that we are leveling our life. We want to be sure that we are becoming the best versions of ourselves. And in order to do that, rest is a necessity. It can be challenging though, because in a culture that glorifies busyness, rest is often seen as weakness. But the truth is, intentional pauses can make you a stronger leader, a better decision maker, and a more grounded woman. Let's talk about why. Okay, today we're going to be going over redefining rest. We're also going to touch on how overworking keeps you from your purpose. I'm going to share 3 practical ways that we can pause without guilt. And then I'm also going to touch on how rest is actually a leadership skill. Before we get into today's podcast, I want to encourage you all, everyone that's interested in joining my book club, there is a link down below to my Patreon. I am creating a book club, and the first book that we're going to read is The 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell. And so if you're interested in becoming a better leader, be sure to click the link down below and join the book club. Also, I'm going to ask that you all share this podcast episode. Sharing helps to spread awareness about leveled women. We want to connect with as many people as we can. And our mission is to empower people. Our mission is to provide resources and insight on how to become our best selves. So I'm going to go ahead and give you all a moment to share the podcast, and we'll be back in just a moment. All right. So thank you so much for sharing, and we are back. So in regard to the power of pause, okay, and why rest is a leadership skill, I want to start with talking about redefining rest. So for many of us, especially leaders, rest feels like a luxury that we have to earn. But being leveled means shifting that mindset. Rest is not the opposite of productivity. It's actually a part of it. Because when we pause, we, number 1, gain clarity. We also regain energy and reconnect with our purpose. A leveled woman doesn't burn herself out to prove her worth. She leads from overflow, not depletion. So we're going to talk about how overworking keeps you from your purpose, okay? Like I mentioned before, we sometimes are just on go, go, go mode. We do live in a go, go, go society where it is popular to constantly hustle, to constantly be on the move. But constant motion can actually keep us stuck. When we're always busy, we don't leave space for reflection, creativity, or strategy. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for your next move is to actually stop moving and listen and learn. Think about it. How many times have you had your best ideas come to you in the shower? Maybe while you were walking, or while you were simply sitting in silence? Well, that's an example of the power of pause. So I'm going to talk about some practical ways that we can pause without guilt. If you're like me, then you may have experienced the struggle to slow down. But like I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, I'm going to leave you all with 3 practical tips to add intentional pauses into your life starting today. So number one, consider scheduling your rest. So put it on your calendar like you would a meeting. If it's not scheduled, sometimes it becomes easy to push aside. So sometimes I set even like reminders in my phone to rest. I'm intentional about not working on Sundays. I also have added rest into my planner. I'm looking at rest as something that is essential, and I'm being intentional about making sure that I get it. Also, create mini pauses. So even 5 minutes of breathing, stepping away from your desk, putting your phone down if you're constantly on your phone working, or even on your phone for entertainment. Try putting the phone down, or you can also journal to reset your mind. And then the next tip that I have is set no obligation time. So block off an evening or weekend where you don't commit to anything in advance, and then use it for whatever your mind and body needs most. So if someone asks you, hey, do you want to do this weekend? You're saying, thank you so much for the invite, not this weekend. Okay? Just being able to prioritize yourself, being able to prioritize your health, being able to prioritize resting is going to be super beneficial. Okay? And the last thing I want to talk about is resting is a leadership skill. So leadership is all about making wise decisions and inspiring others. And you can't do that if you're exhausted. Rest also allows you to lead with empathy instead of frustration. It allows you to make decisions from clarity, not stress. It also allows you to model healthy boundaries for others. By giving yourself permission to pause, you give others the courage to do the same. And that's all I have for this week's episode from Leveled Women. I want to thank you all for tuning in. And remember, your pause is not a setback. It's preparation for your next level. If this episode spoke to you, please share it with another woman who needs this reminder today. Also, please follow us on Instagram at Leveled Women. Also, join our email community if you have not done so already. The link is down below. Check out our website. Subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed. And also, be sure to check out the book club if you are interested in joining that. Until next time, keep growing, keep leading, and don't be afraid to pause. Bye.